18th and 19th. For event and ticket information, head to Huskers.com/tickets. Go Big Red.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball. This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. It is a beautiful, glorious Monday morning in good old Lincoln, Nebraska. And you guessed it. My goodness, we have a loaded show today. We got Nebraska's most beloved former player of all time, James Williams, has plenty to say about Nebraska. And I've got a couple of thoughts about Sir Williams, who could start by changing his number. That would make me happy. That number 90 has seen better days, at least by other folks. I don't know about by myself, but other folks. Also, lots of stuff to talk about. Nico Iamaleava. Talked about him on Friday. No longer Tennessee's quarterback. You got Oregon's coach calling Tennessee's coach saying, hey, your quarterback's over here trying to get poached by us. Is that a thing? Basically, he's trying to garner more outside interest because apparently it isn't going so well with you guys. But he was giving Heupel a head up. Dan Lanning was giving Josh Heupel a heads up. Like, hey, your quarterback's out here actively seeking other schools and other destinations to potentially go to. The man was going to make no less than $8 million starting in 2022. And he was contract negotiating and thinking about sitting out, not just this past weekend's spring game, which he did, but the college football playoff. When they played Ohio State, there was a legit chance he was going to sit out that game as part of his active contract negotiations. And his daddy is involved in all of this. D1 daddy ball. I couldn't believe it the first time I saw it with Kirk Ferentz and Baby Ferentz. Then you see it with Shedeur and Dion. And hey, at least Shedeur is a really good player. With all due respect to Brian Ferentz, he was not a good offensive coordinator. Now, and I watched it in D.C., if I'm being honest with you, after Robert Griffin's rookie year. His dad got all sorts of involved in a lot of things and caused a lot of problems. Didn't want to run the read option anymore. He needed to start game one. By the way, Robert had just had major ACL surgery. The second time he tore the ACL on that knee, I might add, that same knee. I watched his dad get all sorts of involved. It wasn't much longer, and he was out of D.C. Now, was it entirely on his dad? No. But there's a certain point where parents should no longer be involved. And that point, in my opinion, is when you're starting in college. Like, there's a time to back off and back away. And I know it's different now with NIL, the transfer portal. It was easier to do. I don't want to say just scholarships. Scholarships have a ton of value. But when you're focused on a scholarship, that's one thing. When you're focused on a scholarship plus potentially millions of dollars on the line, it's a whole different thing. But at some point, parents need to, and it's hard because these young kids need guidance today's day and age. It was easier back then to back away because it was, oh, you got your scholarship, now go earn your time on the field, your starting job on the roster. Now it's all this money and agents and people trying to take advantage of things and people who do not care about the game and the sport of football and do not care about the player. They care about the money they can get from the player. So I could see why a parent would stay involved longer. But to the extent that basically you're going to encourage your son to, hey, you might need to sit out this college football playoff game. Like, are you kidding me that was even on the table? All right, so we got chaos and insanity in college football to talk about in general. We've got our good buddy James Williams to chat about. Matt Rhule had a press conference on Saturday, and a lot of interesting things came out of there. He has thoughts on the transfer portal as a whole. We have an update, major spring updates on Nebraska football. All sorts of things to chat about here today on the Adam Carriker Show. Nebraska baseball beats Iowa yesterday. Nebraska softball Run rules Northwestern again. Nebraska softball is going to play the Wildcats again today. I believe softball plays Creighton this week again as well. So other sports to talk about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, now you know. It's the Adam Carriker Show, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days a week, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch. Come join us. Our goal here is to be smarter than the average dumb guys. Occasionally, we achieve that goal. The rest of the time, what you're going to hear is Husker sports, college football, sports in general. What you're going to get is unique insight, unbridled honesty, and producer Jake and I are going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. Now, Jake is currently working on a clip, okay? And it turns out, shocker, that Nico Iamaleava was not the only player actively negotiating contracts and thinking about sitting things out. Now, other names have not come to the surface just yet, but these are the things that we're going to chat about as well. All right, like I said, loaded show as it is each and every day here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, check out all things The Ticket at theticketfm.com as well. So when it comes to Nico and the insanity that is college football and people trying to take advantage of college football, because here's the other thing, they know the window's closing. There are rules and regulations that will be coming in college football, and actually a body that people respect, unlike the NCAA, that can enforce these rules. Right now, everyone's just like, we're going to do what we want. What's the NCAA going to do? Oh, they're going to try to do something. We're going to sue them. And the NCAA is like this little useless coward that's in the corner that can't do anything. I've never respected the NCAA all the way back to when I was playing in college. But now it's been taken to a whole new level because they have no power. Back then they had power, and it was ridiculous the way that they used it. We went from, if you take a bite of a cheeseburger from the wrong person, your eligibility was, or pasta, as I spoke about the other day, was it $3.85 for a plate of pasta? And there was legit eligibility that might be gone for these particular players I spoke about the other day, to guys are signing NIL deals for $8 million and they're leaving. It's crazy. The reason I have a problem with it is because none of it makes any sense. It didn't make any sense back then. It doesn't make sense now. There's absolutely no middle ground. The pendulum swings way too far one way or the other way too often. All right, when it comes to Nico, and then we can move on, but the insanity that is college football right now. You find out the other day that he was going to make $2.4 million this year. He wanted $4 million. He wanted Carson Beck money. And he signed a deal, NIL deal in 2022 for $8 million over the next few years leading up to this year going forward. Now, what you got to keep in mind is that's the least amount of money he was going to make. That's what he was guaranteed. There's an opportunity, depending on how you play, you could make more. More brands could come to you. More people could pay you more NIL. Revenue sharing is coming, and then you can get NIL on top of it. There's going to be brand initiatives for big-time schools and big-time brands like Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Tennessee. So that was the worst-case scenario for him. Active contract negotiations is an unusual term in college football. Sitting out of practices, which surprised the Tennessee coaching staff, is an unusual college football term. Not so unusual for NFL, especially the beginning of camp and big-time players who've earned big-time contracts. Nico was a former five-star guy. He's absurdly talented. He has first-round talent all over him. And he started on fire last year. Then as the competition got better and Tennessee went through their SEC schedule, his stats became more mundane. And I went through them on Friday. I'm not going to go through them again. His ceiling is that of a first-round quarterback. His production so far as a redshirt freshman last year was that of an average quarterback. People were talking about Tennessee possibly making a college football playoff run, not because of their offense. And this is Josh Heupel, the head coach, I might add, a dude who's known for offense, because of their defense. Most people believe they have the best run defense in the SEC. Their secondary was a little lax, which got exposed versus Ohio State. Very young, very talented, but it got exposed. And then the run game. They're the number one rusher in the SEC. It was defense, run game. Nowhere in there was Nico mentioned. He's a young quarterback, bright future, former five-star. Hey, that's cool. Take a year to learn. My point is you demand all these things. You haven't done anything to earn it yet. It's all about what he thinks he's going to do or what he thinks he can get. To be clear, part of me is like, hey, You know, if I'm a college football player right now, this is the best any college football player has ever had. And part of me is jealous. Like, hey, I would have loved to have played nowadays. Oh, my goodness. I wonder what NIL I could have got. The defensive end, not much. It's the quarterbacks, running backs, those guys that are going to get most of it, and that's fine. Favoritism is fine. It is what it is, but I probably could have got something. So, for me, like 5 years from now, college football, hopefully, much sooner than that even, does not look like this. 5 years ago, it didn't look like this. So if I'm a college football player, this is the best time you've ever had as far as trying to capitalize on monetizing your name, image, and likeness, or just straight up being a paid mercenary to play football. So why not take advantage of it? To me, there's limits. To me, there's got to be a limit to that, though. The limit is the $8 million you're getting over a few years span, the 2.4 that you're guaranteed. The fact that you're starting at probably a top 15, top 10 team in the entire country and one of the top programs in the country for one of the best offensive minds, quarterback developers, and coaches in the entire country in Josh Heupel. And you're getting paid multi-million dollars. To me, that's the limit. Like, once you're there, if you want more, earn it. Like, do something to earn it. I think that's what bothered me. It was all based on projection and leverage. Like, hey, behind me is a bunch of guys who are freshmen who ain't never played. Leverage. Hey, the spring portal's going to open right after this. I got leverage. Hey, I can get these other schools to give me offers. I got leverage. Nowhere in there was it, I was the number one quarterback in the SEC, or I was the number one freshman quarterback in the country last year. He did fine. Nobody's sitting here saying he doesn't have a bright future. But based on what he's done to this point, he didn't earn jack squat above what he was going to get paid. It was all about capitalization and capitalizing in the moment of leverage, the portal, pitting other teams against my current team. And I chatted with Aaron Davis. I didn't know this beforehand, so I'll give him a shout out for this info. Apparently, he had lost the locker room in Tennessee as well. When the coaches are upset with you over something like this, okay, that sucks, but it is what it is. You lose your teammates, that's when you know it's bad. That is when you know it's bad. So I think that's what bothers me. It's not hey, this is the best time to maximize my monetization as a college football player that I've ever had, or I will ever have in college football history. I got to capitalize on it. That doesn't bother me. I had certain thoughts and ideas that ran through my head during my tenure as a Nebraska football player. There was a point in time I thought about steroids. There was a point in time where I thought about transferring. Didn't do either. I can go more into the steroids thing at a later date. The short version of the story is I was not highly thought of coming in. I watched the other guys who came in, repping 315 on the bench, and I got buried under 275 day one in the weight room. I was like, holy crap. Now, years later, some of that flipped. I'll just throw that out there too. But again, the short version of the story is I'm standing in the house, it was after my redshirt. It was after the year I redshirted, going into my redshirt freshman year. So I was out of the dorms. I'm standing in the basement of the house. I got the phone in my hand. I'm ready to make the call, and I didn't. And I'll tell you why. Because the exact thoughts in my head were, I'm either going to fail or I'm going to succeed. Whatever it is going to be me. As far as transferring, that's a longer story for another day. Bottom line is, I didn't do it. I don't know how I would approach today's day and age if I were a current player. I'd probably try to maximize the monetization. But the first thing that would occur to me is I'm going to go earn it, and then I'm going to ask for it. Maybe demand it if I've earned it first. I think that's what bothers me about this. It wasn't about earning it. It was about the situation and taking advantage of it and leverage. And then pitting other schools against your school. Dan Lanning picked up the phone, called Josh Heupel and said, hey, your quarterback's out here calling other schools, trying to get money from us. Now, I wonder, in full disclosure, I love that. I'm such a huge Dan Lanning fan. Before they went undefeated, before they beat Ohio State, before they lost to Ohio State, before any of that, before they won the Big Ten championship, before any of that, big Dan Lanning fan. Okay. I wonder, though, if other players are going to be more hesitant to reach out to Oregon now that are thinking about transferring. I wonder if that might come back to bite him a little bit, like, hey, you might call my current coach. Well, I don't know. Maybe some rules, boundaries, and limitations in college football are good. Dan Lanning did the right thing, in my opinion. All right. you've got a clip, Jake. All right, but what are your thoughts on everything? And I don't know. We kind of came in and I kind of sent some clips your way. I don't know how much you've been able to listen to what I've been saying, but if you've heard what I've been saying or your thoughts in general on this Nico thing, let us know. Then go ahead and roll that clip.
Yeah, it's just it's going to be it's a crazy situation. I think when you think of all along, I think that this was possible, right? That this could happen, for somebody in college football. But the surprise to me is that it's Nico, because Nico was the guy that of course, all these numbers are unofficial, but he had the biggest NIL deal that I knew of, or at least reportedly in college football. So you kind of start there and you go down the line and you say, okay, well then who's going to be upset? And it turns out it's the guy with the biggest deal in college football. So, always, no matter how rich you are, you'd like to make a little more money. We've talked about that before. No matter how much money you had in your bank, you'd like a few more dollars in there. Nothing wrong with that. But like you said, it's just the way that this is broken down. It was so quick. It kind of happened, I think, quick to us that we're unaware of the situation because it was just kind of like, bang, Thursday, there's reports of problems. Friday, misses practice. Saturday, he's gone. But this is very obviously been a long-term thing with Tennessee. I've seen reports on him not holding up his end of the NIL deals as far as meet and greets and stuff like that. Just wouldn't go to him, ghosted those sort of situations. So it's crazy. But the same thing applies as what I said before is we'll see. We'll see if this turns out. There's potentially somebody that's going to come out the winner of this if they do get Nico in the portal. Now, they might have to overpay for him. But we've also seen that a little bit happening in college football already at other positions. So I'm just it's a fascinating situation that really can be frustrating, certainly for Tennessee fans. It's frustrating for college football to see what the sport's becoming. But at the same time, it was inevitable and it was going to happen with, like we always say, the rules and structures of college football not making any sense whatsoever. These players can renegotiate time and time again. The spring portal opens up in a few days. There's just more portals, more opportunities. And he's definitely not going to go down as a great teammate. I don't think this is going to help his, kind of long-term future. He's obviously got to turn that around. But at the same time, I somewhat understand trying to capitalize on what could be the biggest opportunity in your life to make money. Now, in no way am I going on his side to say, I would have done it quite a bit differently as this has played out. But it certainly is it's fascinating to see what's going to come out of this.
We're going to save the clip for after the break. All right. Because I want to chat about a couple of things in the meantime. But you are correct. I'm staring at a thing. Alan Bell on X. More factual context on the Nico situation. In regards to his NIL contract, alluding to what you were saying, Jake. He was an absolute pain to deal with, holding up his end of agreements, fan autograph sessions, meet and greets, almost never showed up, ghosted many inside. Happy to see him go. Good riddance is what they said. And then some of the other schools that he reached out to. And again, this says over the winter, going all the way back to the college football playoff. Notre Dame, USC, UCLA, and Texas Tech. The Fighting Irish, like Notre Dame or Oregon as well, were not interested. Making the move for both USC and UCLA didn't make much sense at the time. Texas Tech at least listened, but also didn't make a move. So that brings me to the question of, if you're a college, Nico's past, his 5-star hype. You saw what he can do physically. You saw his talent. Then you saw he's still a freshman with a lot to learn. And then you see everything. His dad's obviously going to be an issue. You got to deal with D1 daddy ball. He might sit out a college football playoff game if he's unhappy, because that was strongly on the table. He lost the locker room, which to me says as much as anything. When you lose the locker room, because these are guys out there that are trying to capitalize on their monetization as well. So they're in the same boat as you. And if they're looking at you like, what are you doing? Then that's a real problem. People at Tennessee are just done with you. Right now, they don't have a clear-cut starting quarterback or even a realistic starting quarterback. Now, I know that Tennessee's reached out to a few different quarterbacks, and there's some possibilities. And from what I gather, they're going to be able to fill it pretty well. We'll wait until things are official, but I think they're going to be all right. But if you're another school, if you've got a starting quarterback, Nico's not even on the table. If you've got a halfway decent starting quarterback, but you're like, oh, he's not great, would you be interested? And if you're sitting there like, we don't know who our starting quarterback is, would you be interested right now, knowing everything? I've talked about the package that is Dylan Rhule. And I'm okay with that package as long as we're winning football games. The package that is Nico Iamaleava. Would you be interested in that, Jake?
Well, I mean, you have to be pretty desperate because, he did have ample opportunity. And part of this is he brought Tennessee to the playoffs or helped bring them. But this isn't the Hendon Hooker Tennessee team of a couple years ago that was slinging the ball around the field. This was a team that relied a lot on the defense. I think he had 5 games. I have to go back and let his game log, but I think he had like 5 games against top 25 opponents and only threw for over 200 in one of them. And in that game, he had 2 interceptions. So he certainly is more upside than he is finished product, which is what makes it, like you said, be a little bit, have more bargaining power, perhaps if you were more of the finished product, top 5 quarterback, without a doubt, returning in the nation. But he is kind of viewed as a top 5 type of quarterback that will develop here in the next couple of years. So that's where it kind of gets interesting. But it just kind of goes back to be careful. This is a Polynesian kid from California. How did Tennessee get him in the first place? Well, we all know they paid a crazy amount of money. So when you say he lost the team, how interested was he ever to be a Tennessee Vol, more so than what they were going to send him to begin with in his bank account? It looks like it was always the bank account, the Vol stuff secondary. So, that's where you are now. If you're going to go out and reach for him, it's going to be the same thing. If Nebraska say they didn't have Dylan Rhule and they went out and got him, I would be worried immediately. Well, what's going to stop him next year from pulling the same stunt?
Well, you're immediately assuming he's a 1-year rental.
Yeah.
And honestly, my thought is, are we going to get through a year with him? That would be because, well, what if we get to the playoff and he wants to actively negotiate his contract and hold us up? So to me, at best, he's a 1-year rental, which Notre Dame does that every single year. So some teams don't care. But this kid is looking for multiple years, multiple millions. So then you're on the hook for that, but he can bail anytime he wants, the way college football is right now. For me, if you've got a halfway decent start, if you've got a starter, he's not on the table. If you've got a halfway decent starter, he's not on the table. He is only on the table. Like when Cam Newton went to Auburn. The reason he went to Auburn is they had everything to win football games except a quarterback, and he was that final piece. And if you remember, I want to say they had about 18 of their starters were seniors that year they won the national title. Like, I'd have to be a team that is ready to win now, and I'm missing a quarterback. If it's not that exact situation, I'm not even thinking about it. And even if it's that exact situation, you said it, I said it. Tennessee was in the CFP last year because of their run game and their defense, not because of their quarterback. So then I've got to look at, do we have an O-line that can protect him? Do we have a run game that can set him up so he's not just a sitting duck back there? Because he's not a kid who's ready to do it by himself. Do we have receivers he can throw to? Like, he legit has to be surrounded by weapons right now because he hasn't shown that he can do it just by himself. If this were Travis Hunter, if he were still in college, if this were Ashton Genty, if this were, I'm trying to think of another quarterback. There's not a lot of experienced quarterbacks coming back in the country. Like Drew Aller's really, who am I missing? Like big time potential first round quarterbacks that are back this year.
Some of the rankings, I got some rankings here for ESPN's top 15 quarterbacks. Won't blow you away. Cade Klubnik of Clemson, Garrett Nussmeier of LSU. I mean, Sam Levitt over there at Arizona State, Carson Beck, but it's not a who's who of quarterbacks this year coming back.
So I can't even give the example I want. Let's say Carson Beck's arm was healthy. Okay, that's the closest example you're going to get. So this is a guy who was a preseason Heisman candidate last year. All right, they had a bottom. Well, I'm trying to figure out how to say it. The Georgia rushing offense was the worst it's ever been under Kirby Smart, in the 100s. They're almost top 2 or 3 in the SEC every single year. They led the nation in drops. So my point is, if you were like, hey, Carson Beck is a stud, the offense around him struggled, his elbow is healthy, that's the closest situation I could come to be like, that guy might have an excuse to do something like this, if you want to argue for it, or Travis Hunter, or Ashton Genty. There just aren't many quarterbacks right now. The biggest name quarterback is Arch Manning. Oh, by the way, his high school recruiting class? I've got it in here somewhere. I'll try to find it during the break when you're going to pull up that clip. The top 5 quarterbacks in that recruiting class. All right. He is the only one still at his original school. Nico Iamaleava was one of those players. I'm going to look for it during the break because I had it. The other 4, 2 through 5, he was number 1, are all at different schools now. All right, let's go to break. We'll play that clip. I'll find the stats so I can list the exact names and schools that they're at now. Arch Manning's the only one who stuck around. He's also the only one who hasn't been consistently the starter. There's something to be said for people who've been there, who've done that, like his uncles and family members and whatnot, and being like, hey, there's a right way to do things. And actually, I don't know, somebody doing it the right way. Like, I may not be able to stand Gag Me You, but I'm finding it really hard not to root for Arch Manning right now with everything else that's going on with some other folks around the country. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Authentic Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
This is Monster Jam. Big air, backflips, and all-out racing. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. The fun begins at the pit party, where you can meet the drivers, get autographs, take pictures, and see the trucks up close. Get your pit party pass at monsterjam.com today. Must have valid event ticket to enter pit party. Restrictions may apply. Rules and activities are subject to change. Visit website for event details. Coming to Pinnacle Bank Arena this Friday and Saturday.
Spring is right around the corner, and now's the time to get your John Deere mower prepared for the grass to turn green. To get you ready, Acres reduced the price of its John Deere mower blades, filters, belts, and home maintenance kits by 15%. Gator UTV maintenance parts are also 15% off. Regular maintenance will keep your John Deere equipment going for years. Warmer weather is coming soon, so don't delay. Offer expires May 31st, 2025. Visit your local Acres for details or go to acres.com to start shopping today.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Fleet Feet Lincoln is excited for the upcoming spring season and the warmer temps, and they want you to get outside and be active. Fleet Feet's Fit ID process takes a free 3D image of your feet to help runners and walkers alike find comfortable tennis shoes and inserts that ease pain associated with plantar fasciitis, bunions, and more. Get back on your feet this spring with a trip to Fleet Feet, open 7 days a week at 77th and Pioneers.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. So you had some interesting thoughts during the break. Basically, teams would have to be desperate, that desperate. How desperate would you have to be to maybe get an upgrade in quarterback? And then how are you going to guarantee that amount of money when that wouldn't keep him happy? Couldn't you just get something equivalent to for cheaper? Finish your thoughts, because this is what you were telling me during the break.
Yeah, it's just interesting with what his stats and numbers show. Again, if you believe in his upside, maybe you would take that risk. But ultimately, it's just the fact that it's the spring transfer portal session. Most teams are, I would say, almost everybody, unless you're just have your head under a rock, you've got your quarterback plan for this upcoming season.
Yeah.
And so Nico's kind of putting himself out there again off of team success here, but nothing all that impressive what he did individually. And so unless you're unhappy with your quarterback situation, which means you would have had poor roster management leading up to this point and you needed him to save you, well, then there you go. But otherwise, most teams around the country, like you think, and somebody texted in, maybe Colorado, maybe Ohio State, you kind of go through these names and you're like, well, they already have a plan. Everybody's got a plan already. So, so you'd really just have to, just the dichotomy of it is you just have to really be desperate in regardless of what you get, with him having somewhat, medium numbers or numbers that don't overwhelm you, you would have to think that your quarterback situation is not average. It would have to be poor to want to go out there and get Nico, in my mind, and you're going to have to overpay for it. And then you get right back into what you said, which is, let's say you do have success. Then what? And you don't know. Nico might ask for some more money based on him playing well. I'm sure that's going to happen. If he's asking for money after him not having the greatest season. So I just think it's with the spring transfer portal session, which is going to open up here Wednesday. Everybody's already got their plan. So I think there's a pretty good likelihood on the open market he's going to make less than he would at Tennessee, at least in this point, because there's just not a whole lot of openings.
That's a great point. Most teams have their plan. If you don't have a plan at this point, what's the old saying? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, or something like that. Like nobody's trying to fail in college football. They've got their plan at this point. So when you think about Ohio State, all right, they got to replace Will Howard. They have this, little known, insanely highly recruited kid called Julian Sain that a lot of people are very high on. Now, there has been some rumors that there have been conversations between Nico and Ohio State. Not strong rumors, and I can't confirm or deny them. I've heard them, but not a ton of times. So who knows if they're real or not. But Julian Sain's an insanely highly touted guy. Just as highly touted as Nico Iamaleava, I might add. Okay, you look at a potential school like Alabama. All right, their quarterback play really held them hostage last year. When they destroyed teams, it's because Jalen Milroe played great. Think of that LSU games. Think of some of the other games like Wisconsin. He played great. Other games, Michigan, other games that didn't go so well, he really, really struggled. All right. They've got a guy right now, Ty Simpson. He's a junior. Austin Mack, who's a talented sophomore, and Keelan Russell. So Alabama could be a potential landing spot. Ooh, would that make just Tennessee fans extra mad too, by the way? But
keep in mind the SEC has a rule in place as well to not allow spring portal, grad transfers or any transfers from one SEC school to the other. So Tennessee can't get anybody from the SEC that enters the portal, and he can't go anywhere in the SEC, which is, by the way, again, those are the heavy bidders generally. So that's going to hurt his market. Right, yeah. Outside
like Ohio State, Michigan, or whatever. That's a great point. I just want it to happen just because I want to see. I just want to see. Hey, if we're going to have chaos in college football, there's a person I knew where we lived before. It was not my monkey, not my zoo. In other words, if it's not my drama, I'm incredibly interested. Since it's not our drama, I'd love to see him go to Alabama then the third Saturday in October when Alabama plays Tennessee every year. Oh, not my monkey, not my zoo, but I'm turned into the TV right now to watch this chaos. All right, but you look at, let's see who I pulled up here, Colorado. So they have listed first on their depth chart right now, Caden Salter, okay, but then Julian Lewis is their highly touted freshman as well. Colorado actually could be an intriguing landing spot, potentially. That's probably, out of all of them, the most realistic one. And you know that Dion likes to build through the portal. So he may be one of the few coaches that's kind of like, you know what, I don't have to have my whole team ready by the spring because I'm going to do more things in the spring portal. Whereas most coaches are going to be like, we need our quarterback now. Like, you don't wait on the quarterback spot. So that could be an intriguing, interesting one potentially. But like Colorado's struggling to pay Dion his money. How much money do they realistically have to pay Nico Iamaleava as well? All right. So going back to that graphic. All right. The top 5 quarterbacks in his class, Arch Manning's class. It says the top 5 quarterbacks and where they played school. For Arch, it just says gag me you, nothing else. All right, Dante Moore, number 2, went from UCLA to Oregon. Nico Iamaleava, Tennessee to question mark. Jackson Arnold, Oklahoma to Auburn. Malachi Nelson, USC to Boise State to UTEP. He was number 5, and he was a 5-star in the entire country. Just to do a couple of others, Jaden Rashada went from Arizona State to Georgia to question mark. Don't know where he's going to go. And then Eli Holston, who's really the only 4-star listed on here, Alabama to Pitt. So those are kind of the top 7. And then Andy Jurassic shot me this during the commercial break, but Darian Mensa's record $8 million Duke transfer NIL deal shows rapid growth of NIL deals. The Tulane transfers price tag highlights the growing NCAA market, recruiting market driven by name, image, likeness. Sure. It's mercenaries being hired to play college football and win college football games is what it really is. All right. So in the name, image, and likeness era, recruiting is shaped by the dollar figure. That is true. Duke showcased a record-breaking example earlier this month. The Blue Devils, more often associated as a basketball powerhouse. By the way, it is rumored that they spent millions and millions of dollars on their basketball team, more so than any other team in the country. They still had a pretty good team. But when you do that, like Ohio State did in football, you're kind of hoping you win the whole thing. But they still did pretty well. It's probably the most talent. I know they're the tallest team that was in the NCAA tournament. I think you said it. Did you think they were the most talented team there?
Yeah.
All right, and they got a young coach. You know, they'll figure it out. But hopefully you come through with that dub in the national title game more often than not if you're going to make that type of investment. But back to this. All right, the Blue Devils, more often associated as a basketball powerhouse, received a commitment from Tulane transfer quarterback Darian Mensa on December 11th. All right, it is reported Mensa's NIL deal with Duke to be worth $8 million over 2 years. I think Nico's was over 3 or 4. So over 2 years, with a $4 million average annual salary that would make him the unofficial highest paid player in the history of college football. Dude, that's crazy to me. That is crazy to me. And I think, there's even, I can't confirm this. All right. But there's rumors Nico showed up to practice in pajamas early on in the spring. Like, okay, I don't know if that's true, but that's a good way to lose a locker room if it is. I don't think I've ever seen that. I suppose if it's like the first 2 practices where you're not in pads, it's just not a good look. All right, you got that clip from good old Pate. Go ahead and roll that there, Jake.
As we dive into this, is a lot of the people who have been pushing for the changes that are happening in this sport, they would call them progress. I would call them just changes. A lot of the stuff they told you didn't have to worry about, a lot of the stuff they told you that wouldn't happen, it's funny how it keeps happening. These are the same people who would tell you players would never opt out of playoff games. You know, if we had more playoff games and less meaningless bowl games, then players won't opt out of playoff games. You know, that same crowd fails to mention that this past December, cats like Nico Iamaleava almost held out of playoff games because they were trying to renegotiate contracts in the middle of a playoff run. He wasn't the only one. But just understand, all these people who cannot take a piss without getting the front of their pants wet that claim to know what's best for this sport and claim to be visionaries, and boy, they can type a lot of words per minute, can't they? They have not the slightest clue what's best for this sport. And so we've taken the stance on this show for the past several months that we'll just ignore them. I don't really care. I don't care if you label me anti-players' rights. I don't care. I am pro-college football.
Do you have any aforementioned problems that Josh mentioned? Just out of curiosity.
Not typically.
Not typically. So what do you think? What do you think about his comments as a whole? What's your reaction, Jake?
Obviously the big headline there is that Nico or and some other players, he's college football insider, so he's in the know here. Had discussions about holding out for college football playoff games, and again, I think it's only a matter of time until we see it, unless we kind of put this all together, get contracts in place and whatnot. But that's at first I will have to admit was shocking to me, and then once you kind of think about it in the situation that he's in now, it's like, well, I guess it makes sense. But that's an awful place for the sport to be, obviously, if we ever do run into that. And so it's this Nico situation again was inevitable. I think it was going to happen at some point. Again, he wouldn't have been the one that I predicted to do it because he was fed pretty well. But it highlights how much worse it could get. This is one guy doing it. What if this becomes a trend? Then your sport's just in disarray.
So, a few spring games were played this past weekend. Did you see the crowds or lack thereof?
Yeah. Well, some of them were spring games. Others were much like the Husker games, not football. And that hurt Alabama's crowd, I believe.
Are you undercutting the Husker games before they even happen, Jake? I'll have you know, I'm training twice a day. I'm chasing the rooster around the yard. I'm Rocky Balboa. I've lost some weight. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Beyond, I actually achieved my goal. I achieved my goal on Sunday morning.
Nice.
I went from 303 to 270.2. The goal was 270. I lost 33 pounds since June 1st. In full disclosure, I took football season off because that just wasn't going to happen. The holidays happened. I knew that wasn't going to help me, and it didn't, but that's okay. I've persistence over time, ladies and gentlemen, persistence over time. The scale was a raging a-hole on some days, but it was very wonderful on Sunday. Some days it was a raging a-hole, but on Sunday, it was very, very kind to me. So I finally achieved my goal, lost 33 pounds. I'm very happy about that. But when you get back to this, if we're not careful, I think in the short term, fans are severely annoyed, to put it mildly. And there were actual spring games where there wasn't many people. I saw the shot of the Alabama crowd specifically. They didn't have a spring game, you said, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not enough interested in Alabama and what they're doing in their spring to care whether they have a spring game or not. I know as a general whole who does or who doesn't, but I don't care enough about them. I just saw the crowd and I was like, wow. And then I did see some crowds for some spring games, and it's definitely down. Fans can't relate to this. The everyday common man or common working woman cannot relate to this. They can't relate to, if he did, wearing PJs. Of course, some people wear PJs to work, and that's okay, depending on what you do for a living. But my point is, wearing PJs to practice, sitting out of potentially the biggest game of the entire season, possibly the college football playoff, and actively negotiating something that you haven't earned simply because you believe you have leverage and there's millions of dollars on the line. And there are some people just trying to figure out how to pay their rent or how to take care of the car payment or the insurance payment, or they got medical bills that are racking up, and people just can't relate to this. They love college football. They love their school. I think there's more passionate fans in college football than there is the NFL. Now, the ratings for the NFL just dwarf everybody. But I think there's more psychotic fans in the NFL. That makes sense. But the passionate fans, I think, are in college football. A lot of times you went to the school, and and you paid for an education, or you busted your butt, or you work for the school, or you do whatever. So inherently, there's going to be more of a tie there. You know, if you live in Lincoln, you drive by that football stadium, Lord knows how many times a year. I think because of that, and I think football fans need to know that there's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel, which is why I go out of my way to say it. If it didn't exist, I would just not address it and just look for the hope and hope it's coming. There are pieces in place that can help reel things in. All right. Revenue sharing to a degree can help. Contracts can help. Actual punishments and fines. And I do think we should be able to trade players. I mean, I know the whole, what if this school doesn't have my major? I know that all comes into play. And that was a great point by Austin on Friday. But if you're going to act like you're an NFL player and like you're a pro, you need to be treated like one, too. You need to be able to be cut. Okay, all these things need to be able to happen. And so for me, there are parameters coming. The timeline is what we don't know, is what I don't know. But I think that gives college football fans hope. In the interim, I think they're extremely annoyed. I think they're perturbed, frustrated, and some of them are tuning out, knowing they're going to tune back in at some point. Most people are still tuned in. But for the folks who have tuned out for the interim, they're like, I'll tune back in. Was it August 28th we play in Kansas City versus Cincinnati? Or some people are like, hey, when they actually bring this back to reality or the way it should be, or make some sort of somewhat-ish of common sense, then I'll tune back in. I don't know many people who've just said, I'm done with this. I'm sure they exist somewhere out there, and to each their own. But most people are just kind of like, I love it. Some people are thriving on the chaos. Some people are just like, I'm out for now, but I'll tune back in at X amount of time. If we don't rein things in, though? Like the crowds that we saw at the spring game, I wouldn't expect to see those at games this fall and Saturday, but nothing's guaranteed. When Jordan was playing, when Kobe was playing, when LeBron first entered the league, could you have ever imagined the negativity that the NBA receives right now? Could you have ever imagined it?
No, I mean, it's tough to replace Michael, but yeah, not to where it is now.
I mean, you had superstars that were right there, from Kobe to Durant to LeBron, obviously. Certain things happening. You could argue the Golden State Warriors shooting the three so well, other people started to want to do that, and that bled into certain things. And then LeBron saying, hey, I'm going to create a team down here, like a video game, and go beat everybody. And then a lot of people wanted to recreate that. And then you just end up, I mean, how many years in a row was it the Warriors and whatever team LeBron was on in the finals, seemingly? The Spurs for a couple of years, I guess the Mavericks for 1 year. Like, it's not going to jump to, I can't stand this sport if you love the sport. But it can take a process. I love this sport. Okay, that's annoying. All right, that's annoying. Oh, this is irritating. Okay, I'm just not going to tune in as much. Or I'm not going to watch the regular. I'll tune in the playoffs. All right, now I'll just tune in the conference finals. Okay, now I'm just going to watch the finals. The NBA All-Star Game, when did that happen? That was a month ago. I used to love the slam dunk competition. I forgot it even existed anymore. It's a slippery slope. I don't think college football will ever get there because I think they're going to rein it in. Hopefully sooner rather than later. In the interim, I think fans, to say that they're annoyed, perturbed, can't relate is about the kindest way that I can put it. What do you think?
Yeah, we got to go to break here soon, but I do think it is interesting to see how that plays out, because it is hard to put my finger on the spring game thing other than just frustration with the sport. Because I kind of understand. I mean, even if you are having a spring game or a spring showcase, you don't want to show, there's a fear from half the coaches of showing too much. So it was already a thing where we acknowledged, hey, we're not going to get a whole lot of this. Let's just gather together and play football. But now that they acknowledge on top of that we don't want to show anything accidentally, then, I think that can hurt the interest for it. But it'll be interesting to see what that looks like here at Nebraska.
We're going to go to break right after this. I always like to look at both sides of the argument or the full picture or whatever. So here's a different way of looking at it. Shannon Terry of On3 Sports on X. My opinion, stop blaming the athletes. It's not their fault. They want more cheddar. What can't get lost in the Nico NIL saga is this. The blame doesn't belong to the athletes. The real issue is a broken system. A multi-billion-dollar industry with zero guardrails. And we don't need Congress to intervene. We need leadership with the courage to push for real change, even if it costs them their jobs and reputations. Yeah, good luck with that. I'm tired of hearing people blame the kids. It's not their fault. College sports is in this mess. Stop pointing fingers at Nico. Direct the energy toward the NCAA, the conference, and the university presidents. I think he makes some good points as far as point the finger at these people. I still think one of those fingers needs to go at Nico. Nobody that's in charge of college football cares about college football. They care about their conference, they care about their team, and they care about making money. You need someone, a commissioner or somebody, a central figure who actually cares about college football. He's right about the system being broken, but completely deflecting everything away from Nico when you know more details about this particular situation, I don't think is right either, although I do think he makes some other fair points. But I wanted to share the other side of the coin and other people's thoughts. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Pre-order your Hog Wild slow smoked Easter ham today. Hog Wild selects the highest quality whole ham and slow smokes them until they're tender and delicious. Our 100% boneless ham is approximately 4 pounds and $50. Pre-order online at gohogwild.com. Quantities are limited. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
An hour ago, you didn't need a plumber. Now you're in a panic. When life throws you a surprise with a clogged drain, plugged or leaky toilet, broken pipe, leaky faucet or water heater, or a bathroom or kitchen plumbing upgrade, whatever. Just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing, 467-1111. Keep that number handy, 467-1111. Or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Spring Sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rush into your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Hey there, fellas. It's your girl Jordan with Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Allow me to get a bit sappy. For women, jewelry isn't just a gift. It's a timeless symbol of love and appreciation. You have to get this right. No fleeting trends or gadgets will make the impact. Every time she wears it, every time she gets a compliment, you win. Trust me, guys. You'll get your money worth. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Join Nebraska softball for another action-packed weekend on April 18th and 19th as they face Indiana at Bowlin Stadium. The top 25 ranked Huskers are hot and ready to show off their dominance in the Big Ten during this 2-game series. Plus, Saturday is Kids Day. There will be family activities throughout the game and an egg hunt with the team after the final out. You won't want to miss this weekend at the ballpark, April 18th and 19th. For event and ticket information, head to huskers.com/tickets. Go Big Red. Authentic Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best they can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. Tailored Landscapes is on the brink of spring cleanups for all their existing customers, and they have limited spots available. They trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give Tailored Landscapes a call at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of their designers and stop by the Tailored Life store in Bennett.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! I think I mistimed that. I didn't have my headphones on. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, we're going to do a quick sports roundup before the top of the hour. And we dive into talking about our good old buddy James Williams. Matt Rhule had an interesting press conference. We got a Matt Rhule clip to play. We got a James Williams clip to play. I want to hear what the fine folks at home have to say. I did not intend on rhyming there, but there you go. Before we do that, just remember, not every door that is locked, let me start over. Not every door that is closed is locked. Sometimes you just need to give it a push. All right, here we go. Let's light this candle. As you all know, John Cook, Kirsten Booth, all right, Nebraska volleyball, Creighton volleyball coaches, all right, will not be on the sidelines this fall. But I thought this was interesting. The 2 combined for 44 NCAA tournament appearances, 6 National Coach of the Year awards, 1,385 wins, and only 368 losses. They had over 1,000 more wins combined than they had losses combined. That's craziness. All right, it's going to be a little bit all over the place, but this was sent to me per the conversation of Florida. Do they have the best men's sports program since 2000? Since 2000, Florida has won team national championships in basketball, baseball, football, softball, men's and women's track and field, men's and women's tennis, women's gymnastics, men's golf, women's swim and dive. I'm going to shock you when I tell you that that was sent to me by a Florida alum. They thought I needed more info on our discussion the other day. And there you have it. All right, shout out to Love Volleyball. They entered the playoffs as the last seed. They made it all the way to the championship game. In fact, Omaha reverse sweep their way into the Love championship game by coming back and winning the semifinals game. They ended up runner-up on the season, a great inaugural season for Love of Volleyball. All right, this was also sent to me. I guess people were kind of interested in the who has the best program since the year 2000. All right. They said when you incorporate some of the Olympic sports, the teams with the most national titles, and they said ever, was number one. And it's a lot of Pac-12 teams. As I mentioned, the Pac-12 has more national titles across all, well, the old Pac-12 had more national titles when you added up every sport combined than any other conference. And it was not close. Okay. So when you include the Olympic sports, the old Pac-12 or whatever, Stanford is the most, then UCLA, USC, Texas, Penn State, Oklahoma State. I was surprised by Oklahoma State being in there. Arkansas, and then finally Florida. All right, list of schools that finished in the AP top 15 of both men's football and basketball this season. Who are the two teams, Jake?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I'm drawing blanks. I can't
Tennessee and BYU.
Okay.
Much respect to those schools. All right. This is Per Amy Just on X. Nebraska once again finished among the highest in the nation's attendance this season in basketball. Total attendance, number 16 in the country. Nearly 240,000 people for fifth in the Big Ten. Average attendance, number 13 in the country, fourth in the Big Ten at just under 15,000 people. Percent capacity, number 12, 99.7 per 6%. All right. For Pinnacle Bank Arena for men's basketball games, which was, again, 12th in the country, third in the Big Ten. All right, got a couple other things to get through here before we head back to break. All right. Olivia Hamlin, who I had scheduled to have on this show, by the way, 5-star women's basketball. All right, player who was committed to play for Nebraska, flipped her commitment to BYU. All right, let's see what else we got here. You watched the Masters at all yesterday?
I didn't watch too much of it, but I definitely read about it.
No player has won the Masters after making 4 double bogeys or worse. Rory McIlroy, 4 double bogeys this past week, but Rory is a Grand Slam champion after winning the Masters. I thought that was pretty cool. People were talking a lot about that. All right, the Huskers hosted 4-star wide receiver Nayland Scott this weekend. Nebraska also welcomed other recruits from Georgia, which helped Scott feel at home. After seeing the facilities in practice, he is ready to schedule a visit as well. Oh, one more thing on Rory. He wins the Masters and becomes the 6th men's golfers to complete the career Grand Slam. Nebraska baseball beat, at the time, number 1 team in the Big Ten, Iowa, our good buddies. The Iowa Hawkeyes, unfortunately, took the series 2 out of 3, but Nebraska baseball came back on Sunday. All right, they trailed late, came back to win 6-4. The thing that caught my eye was the two teams combined for 6 errors in the game. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. All right, men's tennis. Keeping my eye on men's tennis since we interviewed their coach. All right, first time feat for Nebraska men's tennis. They have 7 conference wins, a record-setting season, and they're not done yet. Final home matches next weekend against very good men's tennis teams in USC and UCLA. Nebraska softball mollywops Northwestern 10-1 in 5 innings. They 2 days in a row. All right, ruled them 11-1 on Saturday, 10-1 on Sunday. They play the Wildcats again at 3 p.m. Central Time today. It should be noted, Nebraska softball took 2 out of 3 from Iowa when we played them. Okay, they mollywopped them 12-0, 14-1, and then lost 2-5. This was about just a little over a week ago as well. Creighton currently has the number 1 transfer portal class in the country when it comes to basketball. Were you aware of that?
Well, they did get a couple of good guys from Iowa, so I would not surprised that it's up there. I didn't know it was number 1.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and if you're interested, Jordy Ball batted leadoff the other day for Nebraska softball. I thought that was a fun move to keep your eye on. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, it's reaction to Matt Rhule's press conference, Matt Rhule's thoughts on the spring portal opening up, and James Williams. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We shall return.
Fleet Feet Lincoln is excited for the upcoming spring season and the warmer temps, and they want you to get outside and be active. Fleet Feet's Fit ID process takes a free 3D image of your feet to help runners and walkers alike find comfortable tennis shoes and inserts that ease pain associated with plantar fasciitis, bunions, and more. Get back on your feet this spring with a trip to Fleet Feet, open 7 days a week at 77th and Pioneers.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
Pre-order your Hog Wild slow-smoked Easter ham today. Hog Wild selects the highest quality whole ham and slow smokes them until they're tender and delicious. Our 100% boneless ham is approximately 4 pounds and $50. Pre-order online at GoHogWild.com. Quantities are limited. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Start your engines, race fans. Race season at Eagle Raceway officially starts this Friday and Saturday. Friday, April 18th and Saturday, April 19th is the Icebreaker Challenge, presented by Stop and Shop and Auto Transmatic at Eagle Raceway. Both days feature Nebraska's best lawn and landscape modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, and A1 Iron stock cars. Friday also features Valentino's Hobby Stocks. Saturday will feature Nebraska Septic Sprint cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. For more info, visit eagleraceway.com.
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Hey there, fellas. It's your girl Jordan with Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Allow me to get a bit sappy. For women, jewelry isn't just a gift. It's a timeless symbol of love and appreciation. You have to get this right. No fleeting trends or gadgets will make the impact. Every time she wears it, every time she gets a compliment, you win. Trust me, guys. You'll get your money worth. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best they can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. Tailored Landscapes is on the brink of spring cleanups for all their existing customers, and they have limited spots available. They trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give Tailored Landscapes a call at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of their designers and stop by the Tailored Life store in Bennett. Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
Right now, when you drive by Honda of Lincoln, you'll see more than 200 new Hondas and over 125 pre-owned vehicles. Hi, Charlie Stone here, and with me on the line is Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, how does it feel to have so many vehicles in stock again for your customers?
Charlie, it feels amazing to see how excited our customers are. They love the ability to see, test drive, and take immediate delivery of the exact new Honda they're looking for.
Do you have some good offers to talk about?
We sure do, Charlie. We're offering financing as low as 0.9% APR up to 72 months, or great lease rates on every new Honda. It's the perfect time to drive away in the new Honda you've been dreaming of.
How about pre-owned, Andy?
We have over 125 pre-owned and certified pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Just about every make and model with prices starting at under $10,000.
Maybe it's time you experience the best, the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to hour 2 of the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. We got a couple of clips to play. We got Rhule's press conference to react to, spring football updates, James Williams to chat about. I thought Rhule had great advice on the transfer portal. I thought that was interesting. We got a clip of that. All right. This was funny. This was sent to me. And my parents, I lived in a duplex for 8 years growing up, age 3 to 11, 3 to 12, 9 to 10 years, whatever it was. So we had a landlord. The older man was nice. When he passed away, we found out his wife was not so much. But I digress. So this kind of rung true to me. This was sent to me. My annoying landlord. I pay this woman $1,800 every. There's some things blocked out here. Every freaking month. And all she does is complain that I make too much noise just walking around. So I bought a dog whistle. I blow it all hours of the day and night. And now I complain how much your dog barks and keeps me up. Nice. It's so devious and petty. I love it. It's awesome. All right. A couple of quick final sports updates that I want to get to now. I didn't get to last hour. Congratulations to Nebraska's bowling team. 2 weeks in a row, they go to Vegas and come away with the trophy. They finished 3rd in the entire country. Phenomenal job by Nebraska's bowling team. All right, and if you didn't know, Nebraska's basketball team currently has the 4th best transfer portal class in the Big Ten portal rankings as well. All right, and when it comes to the aforementioned in the last segment, wide receiver Nayland Scott, 4-star player. The Huskers are also battling Michigan, Georgia, Arizona State, Florida, for his services as well. And I thought this was an intriguing question that I want to pose to the text line. All right, and then we're going to move on to other things. I'll keep talking, but hopefully we get some responses to this and we can address them. So this was actually asked on X by Jim in Minnesota. What's the advantage of taking a 5-star quarterback out of high school if they're just going to hold you hostage for more NIL money each year? Tennessee paid Nico an unheard of amount of money out of high school, and it didn't matter. More reason to take transfer portal quarterbacks and players, in my opinion. Man, for the first time in my life, I'm kind of wondering, the portal's been around my whole life, but for the first time ever, I'm kind of wondering, is it better to go through the portal? I want to know what the fine folks at home have to say. I want to know what you think. Text me your responses. Text Jake your responses. What's that number there, Jake?
402-464-5685.
All right, so we're going to spend this segment talking about J-Dub, and I know you got a soft spot for him because he sat right here and you were part of an interview. All right, get rid of that crap, Jake.
Big
All
fan.
right, but feel free to hop in with any responses to that question as well. First, let's start with the clip that everyone's been kind of reacting to. Again, for a second time, you know, no disrespect intended. With all due respect, now I'm going to go disrespect people. James Williams strikes again this offseason. And could you please just change your number at Florida State? I don't know what it is. Just change your number for me. But go ahead and roll that clip, Jake.
I mean, the personnel, it almost sounds like you're talking about, and I don't want you to disparage anybody, but it almost sounds like you feel like there's been an upgrade in overall talent and versatility that Tony has to work with here in Tallahassee. Is that an accurate descriptor?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty accurate. That's no like disrespect to my boys from Nebraska. Obviously, a lot of the people play there. I love and appreciate them. I just think like some of the guys that we have down here are built different. Not like again, literally no disrespect. It's literally like we went from Ty Robinson, who will be a second round pick, should be a first round pick in my opinion. He's a dog. He weighed 290, 300 and was like 6'5" and moved well. Daryl Jackson makes him look small. And again, no disrespect to Ty. He'll be a dog in the league. He'll be great. Daryl Jackson makes him look small. A lot of the guys in the D-line room are like that. It just kind of like that Southern mantra of guys from the South who are, you know, big, like the not like you know, the big corn-fed boys, but not corn-fed, if that makes sense.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Like it's just bigger bodies, different speeds. Obviously, football reigns supreme down here, so it's a different speed. But I'm really liking where we're at with our guys. I really like that where we're at in the defense and where we're at like throughout spring ball. There's a couple of things to clean up, but I think we're going to get it all done.
So, a little bit of backstory before I give my reaction. Jake gives his. You know, after hearing that clip again, I couldn't help but be like, man, he asked that question on purpose. There's no reason to ask that question. He's asking him to compare Florida State to Nebraska. Well, I don't want you to disparage anybody, but I know you think there's more talent down here, so tell us about it. That's basically what and then he's like giddy the entire time he's answering.
Chuckling. Yeah.
So that just kind of dawned on me, which is still on James for the answer. And maybe instead of T. Knighton taking to Twitter saying, James Williams can say whatever he wants, just like anybody else, which is 100% accurate. How about, when I first got to Nebraska, they literally did some things to try to educate us on how to handle interviews, what to say, what not to say, how to approach certain things. Does FSU do that? I love that Pot Roast is having his players back. That's awesome. He should have his players back. But in private, hey, man, we got to work on this. First of all, that should be happening. Okay. But here's a little bit of background. For those who didn't know, all right, James Williams, a guy that I was so happy for after the Rutgers game. He really had one really good game here at Nebraska, the Rutgers game. The picture of him and Pot Roast afterwards embracing went everywhere. It was a great picture to see. A moment where a coach is having an impact on a player, and you can see it coming to fruition. That was phenomenal. Okay. But James never started a single game in high school till he was a senior. He had 0 offers out of high school. Went and played at a community college, which is perfectly fine. My parents went to community college, totally cool. But Nebraska gave him an opportunity and a chance. He had 0 offers. Walked on here. And while he's trying to earn his play time and earn things while he's here, this article, August 15, 2024. So not even a year ago. James Williams talks about, all right, let me see here. The big 3, Nash Hutmaker, Ty Robinson, Jamari Butler. And then he talks about how he believes we have the best defensive line in the country. He talks about how these guys are, and I quote, my family, end quote. And I quote, they're the only ones who've accepted me, end quote. So basically, he thought they were the best D-line room in the country. They were his family. And he basically admits, hey, they accepted me. Not a lot of other people gave me opportunities. Now, a year later, multiple times now, like if you're being asked about your current roster, focus on Florida State. Talk about Florida State. If you're asked about Nebraska, say, hey, they gave me an opportunity. I got nothing but love and respect for them. Wish them the best. And then talk about Florida State. or just talk about Florida State and don't bring it up. And if you're asked the way he was asked that question, you can either just go straight to Florida State. Hey, man, we got some dogs in this room. These guys are, they're going to be playmakers. Or you can say, hey, number love for Nebraska. Appreciate the opportunity. Wish them the best. And then go to Florida State. It was interesting that he compared Ty Robinson to Darrell Jackson. Now, there's only a year apart between these two players. So we're not talking about a freshman versus a senior. All right. So Ty Robinson listed 6'6", 310 going into last year. 21 tackles, 7 sacks, 1 forced fumble by the end of the year. Darrell Jackson listing going into last year as a junior. Ty was going to be a senior going into last year. 6'5", 330, so he's bigger, or at least he weighs more. He's not quite as tall. 14 tackles, so 2/3 the amount of tackles Ty had. 3.5 sacks, so 50% of the sacks Ty had, and 1 forced fumble. So to me, he can try to compliment Ty all he wants on the front end. I don't know. He didn't need to specifically compare guys like that. It was almost like he just needs to be taught how to interview or just stop doing interviews. In my opinion, for me, he's talking about the talent here or versus there or there versus here and things they can do, and they're bigger and they're faster and they're more athletic, and Tony White's going to be able to do more and this and that. First of all, I can't take anything he says seriously because he over-complimented a year ago, the article I read from August, over-complimented. I mean, it's awesome to say we have the best defensive line in the country. That's phenomenal. And if you believe that, that's awesome. That's a really strong statement. But now you go down there and you say this, so I can't pay attention to anything you say. It has no credibility. You're talking all over yourself out of both sides of the mouth based on wherever you're going. Okay. And then you're comparing a guy who has significantly more production to another guy who just simply outweighs him. Maybe he moves better. I don't know. Ty Robinson moved pretty well at the combine. Did you see those? Did you see those numbers? But the production isn't even close. And then you want to compare those guys. So the facts don't even back up what you're saying when you compare actual stats, and then you compare how Ty performed at the combine. So he talks out of both sides of his mouth. The facts don't back up what he's saying. I can't trust what he's saying. For the love of all that's holy, change your number down there, please. Like, I'd rather have Alex Henry repping it, who's one of arguably the greatest kicker of all time. It took me a while to get used to that. That's why I bring that up. But then when he made that kick versus Colorado, that 57-yard, I was like, you can rep that all day long. James, please change your number. And either learn how to do interviews or stop talking about us or stop doing interviews. All right, what do you think, Jake?
I think it's intriguing, at least. It at least gives me some entertainment for over the weekend because, as we know, this is the second time James Williams has said something a little bit detrimental. And like you said, I mean, I think this was all brought up by the interviewer who kind of set him up for this question, probably knowing that this last time got a little bit of a run in Nebraska, and here it is again. I think that there is truth to a lot of what you're kind of saying. I mean, but I also think that as Nebraska fans, we need to be a little bit less touchy because this did get people going again this weekend. It's the podcast era. We're going to hear, I think, stories of people, maybe more than we would have in the past. And I think that I think that the other thing is that it could quite possibly be true. What he's trying to say is that Tony White will have more to work with at Florida State. I know they went 2-10 last year, but their offense scored more than 16 points twice. One was against Charleston Southern. One was the opening loss to Georgia Tech. So that was more of an offensive problem than anything last year in Tallahassee. And they were regarded to have one of the top defenses, going into last year. That was why that season was so disappointing. But I do think it is a bit odd. I don't think the comparison, like you said, just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You say one guy's bigger and the other guy is better. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I can find a lot of guys that are bigger than Steph Curry. That doesn't make them better than him on the court. So it's just kind of a weird comparison. But again, what he's trying to do is get Florida State fans excited. This doesn't necessarily have a whole lot to do with Nebraska. It's just trying to say that he thinks there's more to unlock at Florida State than maybe there was at Nebraska. But all of it's just entertaining and interesting because of the source it's coming from. Like you said, James Williams, who the story is one of my favorite stories. And that's why I liked him before we interviewed him, just because the story was so good. And he looked like a guy, as you remember, you had Jared Crick on that said this guy might be able to play on Sundays. And we were kind of thinking, whoa, that's kind of a big statement for a guy that doesn't start. He had a couple games there, back-to-back games where he had 2 sacks. It looked like he might be taken off there, but it's just kind of interesting to see, his head kind of seems to have taken off to a degree. He definitely values himself high, which a lot of athletes do. But it's just kind of interesting. The best thing, like you said, is just the media training to understand, because I still wish the best for him. I know a lot of people don't. I hope that he does go along, but in your career, as you know, going in, especially if you get pro, you're going to go from team to team. You don't want to alienate, burn bridges, and talk down other people. So there's a way to do it. Instead of saying no offense and then being somewhat offensive, there's a way to do it without going that route.
Oh, I forgot about that. It was about a year ago at this time when Jared Crick came on, and I'm like, give us somebody that people aren't paying enough attention to. And he immediately said James Williams is a potential first round. He said first round talent is what I forgot about that. That's a great poll right there. So I can tell you have a soft spot for him. So I understand that. Yeah. I have to talk about people all the time that sometimes I have a soft spot for. Sometimes I have the exact opposite for. It's not about me personally. It's about the job they're doing. Was it good or not? And that, for me, I don't think anybody out there can really tell if I like somebody or dislike somebody, which means I'm doing a good job. Because again, I try to do my absolute best to be professional, because that's all that matters. But it's a challenge, is all I'm saying. When you like James and you're talking about him, it can be a challenge. For me, I think what strikes me is promote Florida State. Talk about Florida State. This was a team that was preseason top 10. This was a team that was undefeated before the bowl game a couple of years ago, got snubbed in the playoff. This was a team that had preseason first-round draft picks and all ACC and all Americans, especially on that defense, especially on the defense. Nick Saban said they're going to win the ACC before the season. NFL scouts were talking about this guy, that guy, especially on the defense. James Williams may be right. That's not the point. Florida State might go out this year and go undefeated and be a top 4 seed and get one of those first 4 byes. That may happen. They may have a top defense. They got a great defensive coordinator. They got a great defensive line coach. I don't question that they have all this talent. Stop talking about Nebraska. And if you're asked about Nebraska, don't answer that part. Or I think why it stings with people, at least for me, why it stings with me, it'd be one thing if he was highly recruited, had a million different options, played great here, went there, and then was doing this. That'd be bad enough. This is a guy, we gave him his opportunity. They gave him his chance. And he might say, no, it was white knight, and that's why I followed him down here. It was still under the umbrella that is Nebraska football. So for me, I think there's a lack of an appreciation. Like, there are certain people that gave me opportunities at different points in my life and different things. Not even some of them were sports. And as I got to know them down the road, hey, they were raging a-holes. But you know what I remembered? They gave me that opportunity to begin with. And I never tied the term raging a-hole. I never tied it to their name. Not outside of my head, or maybe I'd tell my wife, but that'd be it. Because I respected the fact that they gave me an opportunity. I can think of 2 separate occurrences in my life where things would have gone way different had I not gotten opportunities. And then as the years went on, those guys weren't so wonderfully wonderful. For me, it comes across as a lack of an appreciation for the place that gave him an opportunity when he didn't have a lot, if any, to be honest with you. And it's just unnecessary. To be clear, of the 3 Florida schools, I've always liked Florida State the best. Never really liked Miami. Florida's got very colorful uniforms. That's cool. I've always liked the Tomahawk Chop. It's one of the reasons I like the Atlanta Braves. Like, I've always liked Florida State. I've always rooted for them outside of those Orange Bowls versus Nebraska. So I'm going to root for him. When it comes to James Williams, I'm going to have a harder time doing it individually, but it would not surprise me if they had a much better season this year. It'd be hard to go the other way for them. They only beat one Division I team last year. I expect them to be much better this year is my point. And I'm actually going to root for that. With James, the other thing to keep in mind is he's not used to this. He's used to being under the radar. He's used to probably people not really paying attention to him. And then all the publicity he's gotten since the Rutgers game has been insanely positive. He was a highly rated 4-star transfer portal player, which was different than coming out of high school. And now all of a sudden what he says is gonna ring, like it's going to matter to people. It's going to ring a bell. And I don't think he's used to that. In his defense, is a guy that nobody paid attention to for a long time. And now occasionally, once every great while, people pay attention to what I say. There's a process to learning how to deal with that as well. So I try to keep that in mind when I'm talking about James. You got any final thoughts before we go to break there, Jay? Because when we come back, it's going to be Matt Rhule, the clip, his press conference, and spring football updates.
Well, again, I think it just kind of goes back to somewhat media training that would help. And like you said, if he's new to it, but it just kind of goes back to me, because a lot of people want to say, I'll speak the truth no matter what. And that's going to be my truth. And that's how I'm going to live by. And that's what's going to happen. And that can be good. That's a good quality. It's much better than lying. But there are instances where even if it is your truth and it is what you believe, it could be better for relationships. And like you said, not to burn bridges and just your outlook altogether, to hold some of your truth back and again, present it professionally. So, and that's something a lot of young people have to learn. So we'll kind of see, hopefully, things get better and we don't have any more of these clips, or maybe we will. I'm kind of entertained by them, like I said before.
Well, they are kind of entertaining. I'm never short for stuff to talk about, so I don't necessarily root for stuff like this, but it's when it happens, because it's going to happen. It's just how the world is. It is entertaining. For me, if I were asked that question, my reaction, and I'm certainly no expert, okay? Talking a lot doesn't make you an expert. I talk a lot, certainly don't think I'm an expert. What I would have said is, because he basically said, he asked him about the talent disparity from where don't disparage anybody, from where he was to where he is. I would have simply said, hey, where I was great. They're going in the right direction. Let's talk about Florida State and the absolute freaking studs we have here. And then you move on. And that's how you handle it. It's really not that hard, but if you're not used to it, it can be a little bit foreign. I thought this was interesting because I saw this. All right, when you think about Dylan Raiola and Nico Iamaleava, when you think about Dylan Raiola and James Williams, think about this. He started as a true freshman, but didn't publicly ask for money in the offseason. The reports that came out and the rumors that spread, none of them came from Dylan. It was other people and inside sources or whatever the case may be. He goes to every Husker sporting event and loves Nebraska. We need more players like this in college football. What are your thoughts after reacting to Nico and James? And I know we got to go to break, but what are your thoughts when you hear something like that? And I've said he's a great ambassador for Nebraska. I've said that, peer recruiting. He loves the camera. There's no doubt about that. If wins come with it, then I love it too. Okay. For me, that's my reaction. But what's your reaction now when you kind of look at how Dylan conducts himself versus maybe some other folks?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to be impressed. Again, to some people, might come off as looking for attention or something like that. But that's somewhat the quarterback's job. Like you said, I mean, he realizes and understands that he is the face of the program. And, slightly, something real quick is that James Williams, for a second, after those sack performances, I remember they had an up-and-coming game, and the graphic was James Williams. So he's kind of dealing with his rise and stuff there. But Dylan is used to it. I think it underlies and underscores a little bit more how appreciative we should be of him for going to these events, for to cheering on local high school sports or the basketball team or whatever it might be. If it bothers you a little bit, okay, but just let it go. You should probably just let it go, because there are much worse things that could be happening than supporting your community in your university.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Start your engines, race fans. Race season at Eagle Raceway officially starts this Friday and Saturday. Friday, April 18th and Saturday, April 19th is the Icebreaker Challenge, presented by Stop and Shop and Auto Transmatic at Eagle Raceway. Both days feature Nebraska's best lawn and landscape modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, and A1 Iron stock cars. Friday also features Valentino's Hobby Stocks. Saturday will feature Nebraska Septic Sprint cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. For more info, visit eagleraceway.com.
Hey, I like your new car.
Thanks.
Could you stop at this coffee shop? I need a cup of joe.
Press that little red button.
Hey, an entire coffee machine just came out of your dashboard.
Yep.
More things should be built in, like the multiplier in Mega Millions from your Nebraska Lottery. It's one of the new enhancements to the game, along with bigger jackpots and better odds.
Oh, that coffee is a little strong.
Press the blue button.
What's that?
Grain dispenser.
$5 Mega Millions top prize odds, 1 in 290 million.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Man City plays Crystal Palace at 6:30 a.m. followed by Nottingham Forest versus Everton at 9 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Arsenal plays Brentford at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, Wolves plays Tottenham at 8 a.m., followed by Newcastle versus Man United at 10:30 a.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 73 points. You can find all this and more at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage door sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, a realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740. Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best they can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. Tailored Landscapes is on the brink of spring cleanups for all their existing customers, and they have limited spots available. They trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give Tailored Landscapes a call at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of their designers and stop by the Tailored Life store in Bennett.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. We got some clarification on Nico and the pajama drama. It's drama to me because I want to talk about it. All right. Basically, it was not, you did not wear the pajamas to a spring practice, Jake. I know you were like really dwelling on this the whole show. He actually wore them to a camp, like a showcase camp, but he was already committed to Tennessee. I saw the pictures.
Oh, okay.
So there's the clarification you've been dying for all show. All right, real quick, your daily friendly reminder, the Carriker Chronicles football camp, the inaugural camp this summer, July 9th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. here in Lincoln, Nebraska. K through 8th graders, boys and girls, autographs included, T-shirts included. All right, again, It will be here in Lincoln, Nebraska, July 9th at the LYF Lincoln Youth Football Field. And I'm going to announce Thursday the last coach that's going to be there. I'm pretty excited. Oh, I want to give a hint, but it'll give it away. Let's see. He once led the conference in interceptions.
Ooh.
There you go. There's the hint. I'll announce who it is on Thursday. All right. In the meantime, Heisman Trophy winner Eric Crouch will be there. Green Bay Packers Hall of Famer Amon Green. All right. Outland winner Zach Wiegert. I will be there as well. Again, if you want to learn more about the inaugural Carriker Chronicles football camp, go to carrikerchronicles.com. If you want to register, carrikerchronicles.com. The goal is for the kids to learn the basics and fundamentals, take their game to the next level, and hopefully have a unique experience and one that sticks with them for a very, very long time. It's time to get now to Matt Rhule. All right. In his press conference on Saturday, Matt Rhule praised Nebraska's physicality during their first major scrimmage work of the spring. They had 30 live reps. Now, we are going to talk about the portal here in just a minute and get Rhule's advice that he gives to players when it comes to the portal. But it seems like Rhule and Holgorsen aren't really sweating the upcoming portal period all that much. Okay, real quick before we dive more into Rhule. Keep your eye on Isaiah Mosey, and Cortez Mills. And I quote, they're two very talented kids that will play this year, end quote. So keep your eye on them. Now, should we get to the clip first, or should I go through his press conference? You're in charge, Jake. What are we doing?
You can go through his press conference.
All right, we'll do that. Does that mean you don't have the clip ready? Is that what that means?
No, it's ready. We can do the clip if you want to.
You know what? Let's do the clip because there's lots of notes here on the press conference. So let's do the clip real quick. So this is Matt Rhule's advice. I asked you what we should do, and then I went the complete opposite direction. Sorry, Jake.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I don't mean to be the raging a-hole like the scale's been to me for so long. All right, let's go ahead and roll that clip. It's Matt Rhule's advice to players on the transfer portal.
I said to the guys, listen, everybody has the right to make the best decision for them. I just asked two things. That A, you make the decision based on the right information. And don't come to me later and say, well, they told me this, but they end up doing that. Like, there's stories everywhere. And that's why if you've been here and you trust us, if you're here and you say, well, Coach Rhule's lied to me, I don't trust him, then okay. But if you've been here and we've always told you the truth as best we know it, then if we tell you, hey, this is where we see you, then you probably should listen to that as opposed to somebody out there. Like, everyone out there always has something better for you. You know what I mean? Everybody's always got a better scheme, a quicker way to do this, a faster way to do that. There really is no quick fix, quick way to getting there. So make sure you're listening to the right information and then do it the right way. You know, I left Temple to be the head coach of Baylor. Temple gave me my start. Temple had me as assistant coach. Temple gave me my first head coaching job. But when the time came, I took on a new challenge. So I exited there. So I get it. Number two, I left Baylor to go be the head coach in Carolina. So I don't fault somebody when they leave here. I just tell the guys, make sure you're walking into the right situation. I've walked into many situations in my life, business, professional, they tell you one thing and it ends up being another. So be careful. Say to yourself, who am I getting the information from? Can I trust it? And that's all I want for our guys, because I desperately want them all to be happy and healthy and be successful. So sometimes I think there's really two groups. There's the guys who aren't going to play and they really want to play. And whether it's 105 or they're just not quite good enough. And it looks like that's going to be the way for the rest of their career. And they want to move down. We try to help them as much as we can. And I love watching them succeed. There's a kind of a second group of guys who are good enough to play here. And I think they should stick it out and fight. I think too many people, outside people, parents, coaches, we're always trying to find like a better situation. But if you really are an NFL player or you're really a great player, you'll make your situation good enough by just getting better. And if you stay in this place, if you stay in this weight room, this training facility, this training table for 4 years, you're probably going to get developed. So chasing a better situation because you have a chance to go quicker, but you're not getting the same training and all that, it doesn't make as much sense to me, but that's me. If someone's not happy here, I want them to leave. Bryant's a freshman here. If Bryant wasn't happy, Julie and I would say, well, let's find someplace to make you happy. Just don't leave because someone's saying, hey, I can get you a couple more bucks or a couple more this or a couple more that, because I think a lot of the guys who leave, they find out not all that's true, you know. So I just try to deal with each one as it comes if they ask me. Some guys don't ask me. Some guys do. We certainly take transfers, so I can't say that, you know, guys shouldn't transfer. But so anyway, that's kind of long-winded.
There was so much good stuff in there. Everybody's always got a better plan for you. You can't trust what other people tell you. You might enter the portal and find out it's not true. How many times in life does somebody tell you something and then it turns out to not be real? Dude, I still remember we were building our house in our previous place where we lived, and there was an individual supposed to do some work. Just never showed. But you know what showed up? The bill. And then you know what showed up? Hey, you better pay me the money. I was like, what? You better prove that you were here because I can prove you weren't. Don't try to take the easy route. Don't go for just a couple more bucks. I fully believe that Rhule, like one of the things I love about him is he's very upfront. He's very honest. You don't have to wonder what he's thinking about. And I truly don't think he's that concerned about this spring portal. Not that guys aren't going to go, but I think he knows the guys that they have definitely here. I think he likes them. And if people want to go, hey, probably not going to work out and it's okay. But I think it's almost, I don't want to say it's not perturbed isn't the right word, but it's like, do whatever you believe is best for you. You know what I mean? Kind of in that tone though. Not just, hey, you need to do what's best for you. It's like, do whatever's best for you. Like, kind of like, we know what we're doing. You better know what you're doing. And I would advise getting the information first beyond just trying to take the shortcut, the easy route, or believe in somebody you may not know that well. And one of the other things that stood out to me was if you stay here for 4 years, lift weights, eat at that training table, you will be developed, as opposed to going somewhere and trying to get immediate short-term gratification or the short-term benefits, but you're not getting the long-term benefits that you'll get here, which will ultimately make you better in the long run. And you'll benefit more because it has longer-term positive ramifications rather than trying to take an immediate shortcut to get things now, but you won't benefit long-term. Like, that's one of the major things I took. That is one of my favorite clips of his that we have ever played. From the tone in his voice to his attitude towards it to the advice that he gives. And I 100% believe if a player sits down in front of him in the office, he's going to give him that same advice. Now, it's going to vary from player to player based on that player's individual situation. But that is one of my favorite clips of Matt Rhule that we have ever played. What's your reaction?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I cut up the press conference for our station here last night, and it was just it was a blessing to listen to. I mean, honestly, it was really good stuff about the 105, and I know you're going to go through all that here in a little bit, but this was just a blurt of the entire press conference that was really good. But it makes you feel like they're in good hands. That's the best advice you can give. Like, obviously, there's going to be their side to it, and how it's going to hurt or affect the team if this person or that person enters the transfer portal. But ultimately, it's crazy because you said it today. I've heard it from just about every former player. At one point, almost everybody thinks about entering the transfer. It's not a sinful thought. It's not a bad thing. He also acknowledged that they take transfer players. Mm-hmm. So it's just something that you have to deal with as a coach, and you have to find a mature way to do it, because from the outside, we think, well, that'd be frustrating. You've done all this work and this and that. But I think it just showed that he's got a very clear head. And another part of the press conference saying like he's like taking in all this information as basically we do. He looks on Twitter. That's how he finds out a lot of this stuff. And so in a very hectic, unorganized situation, I feel like we have at least a calm head at the top that is going to give people clarity and a good idea of what they are doing with whatever decision they do make.
By the way, if you're a young player out there and you want to be recruited, I'm talking high school. Even people go back, people have nothing better to do with their time. They'll go back years through someone's timeline. Like if it's 2020, what is it, 2025? Good Lord, I don't even know the year. 2025, they might pull up something from 2010. My point is coaches pay attention to what's put on social media. And I know for a fact they will sometimes not recruit somebody based on what's put on social media by a particular player, because it tells you a lot about them without you ever having to make a phone call, talk to them, do all the recon around them that sometimes goes into learning about a player. You can just go right to their social media. That tells you a lot. Do we have anything from the text line, from anything from the show, in particular that question I asked earlier about high school recruiting versus the transfer portal? What's more important nowadays?
Let's see. It says 0739 chimed in, said Deion's example, you win consistently building with the entire portal roster of about 90%. So there's a thought there. There was another text, and I'm having trouble running it down, that somebody was still kind of thinking maybe the opposite way, is that you can okay, here it is. It was the same number there. It says portal is good for filling in holes You won't win strictly with portal. A good combination of 70% recruiting and 30% portal is the best way to go, in my opinion.
Anything else from anything in general?
8985 says, it was a good quote, but it's good, but it's going to be tough to ever beat. If we die, then we die.
I don't know a better way to go to break than that. As far as building through the portal through high school, we're going to start to go through his press conference notes. Like you said, it was a great press conference. So we're going to start today and we'll finish it tomorrow. We'll do that. We'll start after break. But final thoughts on portal versus high school. You still have to recruit through high school. But man, I would have never said the portal may be as important as high school recruiting, just the way it is. I would have never in a million years thought I would say that. Now, if we get some contracts and we get some rev share and we get some parameters and boundaries and limitations that make some sense, I'll go right back to high school recruiting being more important than the portal, at least 60-40, if not 70-30, like the one texter said. Right now, for me, it's like a toss-up, man. It's so tough. All right, when we come back, we will start to break down Rhule's press conference from Saturday. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Man City plays Crystal Palace at 6:30 a.m., followed by Nottingham Forest versus Everton at 9 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Arsenal plays Brentford at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, Wolves plays Tottenham at 8 a.m., followed by Newcastle versus Man United at 10:30 a.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 73 points. You can find all this and more at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
Pre-order your Hog Wild slow-smoked Easter ham today. Hog Wild selects the highest quality whole ham and slow smokes them until they're tender and delicious. Our 100% boneless ham is approximately 4 pounds and $50. Pre-order online at GoHogWild.com. Quantities are limited. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at PAHLincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
Salt Mine City is not only Lincoln's newest brewery, but they're also now serving food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their peanut butter and jelly burger with bacon and cheddar cheese, or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. Don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 11 a.m. every day but Mondays at 8th and R.
Biggest question people have is, how do I start the process? What is the process? I want to build a new home, but I don't know what the first step is.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
The first step is make an appointment. Come on into my office. Let's sit around the table. Let's talk about what you're looking for, what your needs are, what your budget might be. And let's come up with some answers on what we're going to build, where we're going to build it, and what it's going to cost. And get a house that you're going to be happy with. So now is really the time to be contacting us to get an appointment to get the job done. Once you find a good lot, let's get it reserved, because there's a very limited number of lots in this town. And then start designing that floor plan that's going to be perfect for you. Next thing you know, we're moving dirt.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio, video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's becoming a wild ride in the car market these days, but Koppel wants to let you know and assure you that we are staying the course with our usual pricing model. We've still got huge discounts and low interest rates, so let's get after it. We've got over $12,500 off list price or 0% APR right now on select new vehicles. New and pre-owned, our lots are full, so now's the time to buy. Please stop on in the dealership or check us out at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G187747. All deals with roof credit.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Check out all things The Ticket at theticketfm.com. Also on X, Facebook, YouTube, podcast platforms, Amazon Prime, or simply just turn on your radio dial to 93.7. It's every freaking where. And let me correct myself from earlier. It is baseball, not softball. It is baseball that takes on Creighton later this week. Well, not much later, on Tuesday. All right. We're going to dive quickly into the Matt Rhule press conference, and then we will dive a little bit more fully in depth and finish it tomorrow. Nebraska has practiced indoors and out in the stadium. They did 30 live plays in the stadium on Saturday. Rhule was pleased with the physicality right out the gate in their first scrimmage. Excited to see our, pass rush and defensive line get after the quarterback. Says we have the guys. Also says the O-line is pass blocking at a high level. So, okay. I love Matt Rhule, but every once in a while, I'm like, you're talking about a great D-line. We haven't even been in pads. Or you're talking about a great O-line, or the highlight of the spring being the O-line, yet 60% of our projected starting offensive line, or at least 40%, isn't even practicing right now. So I always find these things interesting. When you talk about getting after the quarterback and guys looking good, but the O-line's pass blocking at a high level, that's hard to do both. Like when people are like, oh, the defensive line looks really good in practice in years past. What? Oh, was the offensive line struggling? It's hard to go hand in hand. Now, if you look more at what he said, excited to see our pass rushers get after the quarterback. The O-line is pass blocking at a high level. It almost indicates maybe the O-line is winning a little bit more on those pass protection sets right now than the D-line. But we have the guys to get there as a defensive line. Does that make sense, Jake?
Yeah, I think it's interesting just to kind of play both sides there. It's better than having one side dominate the other. I will agree with that.
All right, likes where the D-line is at. And it's interesting because he kind of left it at that. If you remember the last time we talked about the D-line a couple of weeks ago, we're going to have one of the best D-lines around. Like, that's the quote. Now, all of a sudden, excited to see what we can do. Likes where the D-line is at. A little less definitive. I don't know if that means anything or not. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Says the new coaches are making impact and are handling their business. Well, that's great to hear because we got a lot of new coaches. 2/3 of our coordinators are new coaches. If you want to say Dana was the rollover from the OC of the last month of last season, otherwise you would say 100% of our coordinators are new coaches. So I hope they're making a gigantic impact, especially that guy that coaches the teams of the special variety. All right, still waiting to hear more about the House settlement. Basically, he learns things about them about the same time that everyone else does. Now, he said he was a major proponent of grandfathering in players in several Big Ten meetings early on, even if it was 120 players. I didn't know what that meant. I'm like, it's a little confusing. Jake's like, basically, instead of going from 150 to 160 to 105 in 1 year, it would have been more of a, hey, let's go to 120. Then we can go to 105 over the next course of a couple of years. Obviously, that's not what's happening. I think Rhule can't do anything about it, but we know he doesn't like that the walk-on program is going away. It's obviously difficult telling certain guys you're going to be here, you're not. And I think he doesn't enjoy the elimination process of players because I think he genuinely cares about his players, which is obviously a good thing. And that's just the beginning. He talks more about the 105, the conversations he has with players about, are you in, are you out, are you competing? More in the press conference. We will dive into that tomorrow on Tuesday on the Adam Carriker Show. I'll see you fine folks tomorrow. Go Big Red Nose. Remember to throw the bones.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the